Hi everyone, Renee here. I've got a vitamin C video for you today. This is part 2. Part 1 was all about the different derivatives of vitamin C, and today we're talking about the gold standard, the real deal, ascorbic acid. And I'll be showing you some of my picks. This ingredient is the true blue vitamin C ingredient. It's the one that our skin can recognize and can use. This is a powerful antioxidant with the greatest amount of published research behind it. Other than this, there's also like vitamin E, Floritin, ferulic acid, and green tea. When these antioxidants are applied in combination with sunscreen, less damage has been shown to occur than when you're just applying sunscreen alone, which is why most days my preference is to use vitamin C during the daytime. This will protect our skin from environmental stressors that may corrupt the skin and lead to damage and signs of aging. It's also been shown to promote and encourage elastin and collagen synthesis in our skin. But for me, the most visible impact it's had on my skin is the whole brightening aspect. It's really helped even out my skin tone, but even more than that, it gave me a very obvious radiance and glow. When I first introduced l-ascorbic acid into my skincare routine, it was like over 5 years ago now, it was recommended to me by my dermatologist because she knew I had some hyperpigmentation issues and whatnot. I would say that after some time, this single-handedly just transformed my skin. So this is something that's just worked well for me. My skin reacts well to it, although I will say that it did cause me some purging for the first few months of using it. Everything decided to come out because, you know, this is like the first active I was using on a daily basis. This isn't an ingredient that everyone's skin reacts well to. Some people get a lot of sensitivity with it. Some people may feel like it doesn't do a whole lot for them and prefer other of the many antioxidants that are available. If you're breaking out or you have active acne, you might be worried about this making things worse because it can cause purging. When it comes to skincare actives, more concentrated and a higher percentage does not necessarily mean better all the time. It really depends on your skin and what your skin can tolerate. A lot of times when you're using something that's more than what your skin can handle, the opposite effect will happen. So it's all about finding that perfect balance. Even a formulation of 5% ascorbic acid has been proven to be effective and will work. I feel like if you don't really have any major issues with your skin, it's all good. And you're pretty young, you're like early to mid-20s, but you still want like antioxidant protection and you want that extra boost with your sunscreen, then I think 5 to 10% is a good place to be. If you're someone who's cautious about starting a vitamin C serum and you're worried about maybe the possible purging of that you can get with the higher concentrations, but also if you're someone who's felt that you haven't really been able to tolerate maybe that standard 15% concentration very well, you can start using this and see how your skin reacts. For me, that would be 10 to 15%. That's something that I could use every single day. There won't be any sensitivity and my skin responds really well to it. There will be noticeable differences over time. There's been the brightening, the texture is better. It's just a nice, slow, steady concentration for me. So the times that I use concentrations above 15%, and I'm talking like 20 or above, that's when I'm really focusing on the whole hyperpigmentation issue. I use it as a flash treatment just during one specific period of time. For me, I can't use that solution every single day because it tends to be quite strong, or I'll use it just as a spot treatment on certain areas. This is also very good for and will have an impact on maturing skin as long as you can handle it. These water-based serums, even though notoriously unstable, have been my preferred format because they were just so easy to incorporate into my skincare routine. It's the first thing I apply on my skin after rinsing before all other products, and I let it sink in for a few minutes. But also the water-based serums tend to be the least irritating for me because of their pH. I'll get into that more later on when I talk about the non-water-based l-ascorbic acid products. When you're using a serum that's begun to oxidize, it basically means that you're just not getting the full strength and potency of the l-ascorbic acid. For the most part, I use vitamin C during the daytime because daytime routine is about protection. Of course, I'm going to start off with SkinCeuticals C Ferulic. This is the benchmark, the blueprint by which all other vitamin C serums aspire to. As I mentioned, this was recommended to me by my dermatologist. She actually had me try this and the Floritin. So this is a 15% concentration, which for me is just right for an everyday vitamin C serum. This is the one product that has actual clinical studies proving its effectiveness. Even after 10 months, the way this is formulated, it loses minimal efficacy. They patented the pH range for which this formula is most stable. So my personal experience with this is that it really yielded probably some of the most dramatic results I've ever had with the vitamin C, especially in terms of like getting rid of the dullness, evening out the skin tone, most noticeably the glow, the radiance. But also I feel like it's kind of just done an overall refinement. To be fair, since this was the first vitamin C I ever used, I kind of feel like the most dramatic change will come from this. All the following vitamin C serums have less to improve. This is definitely pricey. I get why, but nevertheless, it's not the most affordable. So in my opinion, the best and most awesome dupe for this would be May Love's The Glow Maker Antioxidant Serum. This is what I'm using now, what I have been for the last 3 months, and I absolutely love it. The people behind the brand are about as real and transparent as it gets, and their whole thing is about making the best, most uncompromising formulations accessible. They do direct to consumer. They're not all these layers of middlemen, which is why their prices can be so competitive. So what I enjoy about this is while it still has the SkinCeuticals cocktail of L-ascorbic acid, vitamin E, and ferulic acid, it also has the addition of some really nice natural ingredients as well. There's grapeseed extract, aloe vera, hyaluronic acid. Basically, these natural extracts contribute to there being less water in the formula, which is always a good thing when you're working with L-ascorbic acid. This has a pH of 3.2, slightly higher than SkinCeuticals, but still within a good range for L-ascorbic acid, but also it's just really comfortable on the skin. I don't feel like this is irritating at all. It's hydrating, it's soothing, it's actually really nice, but it's also thin. So when you apply it, it absorbs really fast. I'm around the 3-month mark and I only just started noticing it turning sort of a pale yellow color. When it starts turning like a dark white wine color, that's when it's equivalent to maybe 8 to 10% vitamin C potency. This should probably last me another month or so, we'll see. But these are made in small batches. It's cruelty-free, it's PETA certified, it's vegan. If you can't get your hands on May Love, because at the moment it's only available in the States, then there is Paula's Choice C15 Super Booster. This to me is another great dupe for the SkinCeuticals. This also has a pH of 3.2, just like the Glow Maker from May Love. I really like that this is a smaller quantity, actually. I think that's something that really works for vitamin C serums because of the whole oxidation aspect to it. So there's less wastage. But yeah, this is 20 ml instead of 30 ml. This is labeled a booster serum, which means you can add it to your other regular serums, your moisturizer, anything you want to. I prefer to just use it on its own. So Drunk Elephant C Firma is one of the first vitamin C serums that I used after SkinCeuticals. I actually started using this in the winter time, and at that time my skin was sort of on the dry side, and I remember just loving the way this felt, because it just felt so comforting, hydrating, soothing, and also moisturizing. This is the heaviest C serum that I used. It feels really nourishing on the skin. I think it's great if you have dry skin. It's great if it's like during the winter or in really dry climates, or if you have maturing skin. If you have oily skin, you might feel like this is just a bit much for you. So really special vitamin C serum is this one from Roto, Milano CC Intensive Anti-Spot Essence. This is from the same company that brings us Hada Labo. There's so many things about this that I just really appreciate. You just gotta love Japanese skincare. I had a bit of trouble categorizing this. I originally was gonna put this under the non-water-based serums, but actually there is a little bit of water. It's just not in a water base. It's not like water is not the main ingredient here. So this is L-ascorbic acid and vitamin E. I don't know what percentage is going on here, but honestly, it doesn't even matter because it really works. The top 2 ingredients in the Inky list are L-ascorbic acid and vitamin E, so I can only imagine that that is just a decent amount in here. I use this as a spot treatment and it just really works. Whenever I have erythema, all those leftover scars from acne, it just deals with it. Like I said, this isn't really a water serum, so it does apply in that sort of typical slippy, almost oily way. There's no oil in here, which dries down really fast. This also has ascorbyl tetraisopalmitate, THD, which I explained in my last video. This is a derivative of vitamin C, which just happens to be super, super effective at lightening excess pigment. There are other ingredients in here that are antibacterial, they're anti-redness. One of the things that impressed me the most about this is the packaging. This dispenses droplet by droplet, and no matter how hard you press this, you are not going to get more than a teensy little droplet of product. I definitely imagine that there's way less exposure to light and air than you would have with a regular dropper bottle. I've had a couple of tubes of this. I've never known one to ever really discolor or oxidize. This has that ascorbic acid scent, but it's not quite as pungent because it has a very slight sort of yuzu scent going on in here as well. It's not strong. It's actually very subtle, almost unnoticeable. But if you are someone who has a sensitivity or an intolerance to fragrance, that's there. A great serum for those starting out in vitamin C, or you don't really need anything that strong or powerful, is Klairs Freshly Juiced Vitamin C Serum. So this uses 5% l-ascorbic acid, which is already enough for it to be an effective antioxidant. It's such a well-rounded, gorgeous serum. There are so many beautiful skin-nourishing plant extracts, peptides. It's got a really big amount of Centella asiatica. This also contains the derivative sodium ascorbyl phosphate, which is so great for anti-inflammation. It's a good antioxidant as well. This gives my skin a really nice glossiness, a nice sort of hydrated sheen, which I love. And also because it's less concentrated, I feel like it just does not oxidize as quickly. It stayed like clear for really long amounts of time. I actually asked them why they put this in a clear bottle because, you know, they do a lot of testing with their vitamin C products. And they actually said the reason why they do that is because it makes it very easy to see when any kind of oxidization happens, or, you know, when the formula changes color. But yeah, this is really lovely. It's perfect for beginners or anyone who just can't tolerate those really high amounts of ascorbic acid. I really like Clinique's freshly pressed vitamin C boosters. This uses 10% l-ascorbic acid. So when this first came out, I just thought it was so innovative because they found a way through pretty cute packaging actually to separate the ascorbic acid powder with the essence. You mix it when you're ready to use it, and there's a 7-day supply in here, which can stretch out a little longer if you don't need as much. I just really love the way this feels. I love the way it applies. It's a little bit more of an emulsion. It's not as watery as some of the other water-based vitamin C serums that we just talked about. It's got this real bouncy texture, but it still absorbs well, but it leaves your skin really hydrated afterwards. So it's a very hydrating serum. Again, this is called a booster, which means that you can mix this in with your other skincare products to boost it with vitamin C. I personally like to use it on its own directly. It's only 10%. I can handle it. Because the emulsion is just so hydrating, it's nourishing. This is like multiple steps in one, which is why I love taking it on travel. Number one, because it's just like sort of like the perfect size for it. It is a perfect traveling companion, quite frankly. But also because I can do less steps when I use this. Water-based serums of concentrations over 15% are really just not my preference. I have tried many of them though, so I will still talk about two that stand out for me. So a while back, one of the cosmetic chemists that I worked with had developed a vitamin C serum using ascorbic acid for another brand. He was telling me how formulating anything over 16% l-ascorbic acid in a water-based serum was just like disastrous. I feel that's been very consistent with my own experience with 20% water-based serums. The potency to me is quite clearly diminished after a month, especially when compared to their anhydrous counterparts. That being said, there are two that have really stood out to me that have worked really well when they are potent. What I feel contributes to that, and is kind of an important factor, is that they are shipped really fresh. I'm going to start with the Timeless 20% CE ferulic acid serum. What I appreciate about this is that it seemingly manufactures per order almost, which is why you get a date of production on the label. It is important that you start using this when it arrives, then you'll get a nice sort of clear, maybe a little cloudy solution that is really potent and effective. I've repurchased this a couple of times, and I did notice that once I wasn't ready to start using it immediately. If you leave this unopened sitting in the bottle for like a month or two, upon opening you will notice that it's already started to oxidize, even when it's sealed and unopened, just sitting there. This actually feels no different to me than using a 15% C solution. And despite the fact that it's got a 2.4 pH, which is really, really low, usually products with that low of a pH will cause sensitivity, especially acid products, but I've not experienced any sensitivity with this. That being said, I do apply this differently and more carefully than I do with the 15%. Sometimes I just use it on certain areas of my face that I feel have more pigmentation. It definitely helps with the brightening. It maintains like this awesome glow. My experience is just that it doesn't feel so different from using a 15% solution. With COSRX's Triple C Lightening Liquid, this is also made in small batches and then air shipped directly from Korea, so it gets into your hands as soon as possible and you don't have it sitting around in a warehouse for a few months before it gets to you. In my experience, this definitely feels more potent than the Timeless. This is how I feel a 20% l-ascorbic acid solution should feel, which is I definitely get the tingling especially when I first started using it. It's the same tingling I experience when I'm using the anhydrous solutions. I like that this comes in a base of black chokeberry extract. I like my plant extracts. This also contains licorice root extracts for redness and to just enhance brightening, and it's really hydrating. So this also applies so beautifully, absorbs really, really fast, and it also has a really pleasant scent. It's not your typical hot dog water scent, which you're going to get with all these other liquid place serums. You have powder form choices. So the great thing about using the powders, it's in the stable form already, and you're freshly mixing it with one of your own products before you apply it on your face. So you are getting sort of potency. The other thing is it makes it really easy to incorporate vitamin C into your current routine. You don't have to add an extra serum step or anything like that. You can mix it in with your first treatment essence. I wouldn't mix it with my acid toner, just I wouldn't do that. Don't worry about mixing your vitamin C with a product that has niacinamide in it. The ingredients do not cancel one another out. There are some rare cases where the combination might cause some flushing on your skin, but it's the same kind of flushing you'll get when you take a vitamin B3 supplement. The one thing I dislike is the lack of consistency or control you have over getting sort of an exact percentage amount, so I never really know how much I'm actually using. This is a great way to introduce vitamin C into your life. You can play around with it, mix it in different things and see what works best for you. I'm going to first talk about this one from The Ordinary. Honestly, you cannot beat this price. It's also very, very finely milled. This is 100% ascorbic acid powder, and it dissolves into just anything. I like to mix a scoop of this in my MMHC or my Hada Labogokujun. I've also mixed this with resveratrol and ferulic acid 3% to great effect. This is like a really wonderful antioxidant, powerful cocktail. If you want an alternative to that one, there's this one from Eco Your Skin, Vitamin C Boost Powder. It also uses 100% ascorbic acid powder. It's also very, very finely milled, dissolves and disappears into absolutely anything you use. Again, I use like a few spatulas of this. There's also Vitabrid C12, which I've really actually enjoyed using. It's different from the other two powders in that there is extra technology that is going into this. I also appreciate how on the packaging you can see what level of usage you're at. Vitabrid is a Korean brand, and they use a complex in here that uses technology they patented to encapsulate and stabilize vitamin C in its most active form. So you are getting the full benefits that vitamin C have to offer at its most potent. This encapsulation also allows for a slow release delivery over the course of 12 hours, so it really kind of penetrates into the layers of your skin and just protects you. This is definitely a powerful product. It works really, really well no matter how much I feel that I am using. This is a great one. These are the serums that don't contain any water. They are potent and they have like a very different kind of feel. The texture is very sort of slippy. It feels almost oily, but I've kind of gotten used to it. It dries down really fast. Some of the ones out there I find really, really irritating, so I can't really use them, particularly the ones with the much more concentrated percentages of vitamin C. It's not just the strength of the ascorbic acid, but also it's because the pH is so low. A lot of times, at most, they're like 2%, which is why I feel there's a lot of irritation when I use them. And my skin just doesn't do well with things like that. I think others definitely fare better. So sometimes the stinging is just a little too much for me. I will talk about the ones that I actually really like. The first one is from Kiehl's. It is their Powerful Strength Line Reducing Concentrate with 12.5% vitamin C. Honestly, this was a really big surprise to me. I didn't expect I would like it as much as I did. So this uses 10.5% l-ascorbic acid and 2% ascorbyl glucoside. So ascorbyl glucoside, I mentioned this in my part 1 video, is a derivative that actually has collagen boosting functions. As far as waterless solutions go, this is one of my favorites and one of the ones that I can actually use. It is not disruptive in my routine, and it just wears very well. It feels quite powerful. When I apply this, there's a very interesting sort of warming sensation, which lasts very temporarily. It's very topical. It's got nothing to do with any sort of inflammation or thing that's happening under skin, but yeah, it's interesting. When you apply it, it just dries down and disappears into nothing. I applied toners and essences on after this, obviously after waiting a few minutes for it to just kind of sink in, and I've never had any problems with pilling or it was fine. I've tried it the other way as well after my hydrating products, which also works, but I honestly prefer using it before. The other one that I like and find pretty powerful is this one from The Ordinary. Their ascorbic acid 8% and alpha-arbutin 2%. This is the simplest formula of them all. There's only 3 ingredients in here. Alpha-arbutin is a melanin inhibitor. It is an alternative to hydroquinone. In most products, you will probably just see maximum percentage of 1%. I find this to be a really instinctive and good pairing, especially because a lot of us like to use vitamin C for the brightening. And usually that works even better in combination with other products that help with that. The application is really similar to Kiehl's, except for this feels maybe just a little oilier at first when you're using it. There's a really interesting scent to this. It smells like when you're cooking sugar. It's got like this weird sugary sweet scent to it. Again, this just feels really powerful. I have been using it. I feel the combination of the arbutin and the ascorbic acid has just really helped with pigmentation. My pigmentation is just going through a weird moment right now. I think it's because it's summer. So I do believe that it's just kind of helped stabilize things from getting like much darker than it usually would. If I'm going to use a 20% ascorbic acid product, then I will always go for the anhydrous option. The waterless formulas that are over 20% vitamin C, there are some that even go up to 30. The reason why they are so high is because they're less readily or easily absorbed by our skin. They are just really, really strong and quite irritating for me. Again, there's no water to buffer the pH, but also it's just a lot of acid. They also have a creamier consistency, which is harder to fit into the routine. It's harder to layer. If you have skin that is just even a little bit sensitive or can react to products, then I would be really cautious using these products. If you have sensitive skin, just don't even think about it. If your skin is dry or going through a dry patch, I would not introduce these into your routine because they'll sting. Paula's Choice C25 Super Booster is probably the most tolerable for my skin, but it still feels so strong that I'm not really going to use it over my entire face. I've tried it and it just really felt depleting and it was just too strong. As spot treatments, these products will really brighten your skin. The Ordinary Vitamin C Suspension, 30% in silicone. This is so much better and easier to use than the hyaluronic acid spheres, 23%, which was it was such a bad experience for me that I just didn't really want to revisit it. This is more creamy, it disappears. But when I first used it, it stung. It's just strong. When I do use these, I make sure my routine is quite simple. I still prefer using this on a dry face than over like a lot of hydrating toners, only because I noticed that it will make things sting a lot more. That's it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this very, very long video and sticking with me through to the end if you are watching this. But thank you so much, and until next time, I'm wishing you great skin health. Bye!